fella. It would be no Rock Nation. It would be none of that. Explaining to them that Reasonable Doubt that was put out in 96, that's my life. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go. When did you know Jay-Z from what age?
Fourth grade. I think we was about 8 years old, since we've been 8, 9 years old.
And are you like a year or two older, or?
Nah, we about 6 months apart, man. My birthday's
so you're in the same grade.
Yeah. I'm 6 months older than him, actually.
What was Marcy Projects like? So you guys are a little older than me, but boy, growing up in the 80s, I know what Detroit was like, and I know Brooklyn was another one of the crime hotspots of America, unfortunately. Well, like what was, 80s Marcy Projects like?
Yeah, you could say that, man. It was pretty wild, pretty tense, but it had some order to it. You know what I'm saying? It had some respect to it. It was, back then, it was like, when I say order and respect, man, a lot of this stuff that's going on today wasn't going on back then. We wasn't able to see a lot of stuff back then. You know what I'm saying? When I say respect, you know what I'm saying, the gangsters, whatever was going on, had to go on in the streets, was going on at night. When the kids was up. When the kids was in the bed. You get what I'm saying?
So it wasn't like rampant drug dealing at 1 PM on Tuesday. Not out in the open. Not out in the open.
Nah, not out in the open and shit. It was a lot more respect for the elders back then and shit, especially being in the projects where everything was so close. But it still had its problems with, separation. I don't, like sectional. You know what I'm saying? Like
within the buildings. Because Marcy is gigantic, right?
Yeah. You got two sides to Marcy and stuff. You got two sides to Marcy. You got those from the Myrtle Avenue side and us from Flushing. We didn't get along as much, but those who was somebody was able to get along over there a lot. You know what I mean? But Marcy,
how many buildings are in Marcy?
Just on one side, it's 24 buildings. It's about 20 something buildings on each
so
side.
It might be what, 10,000 or more residents or something?
Pretty much. You figure each building, 6 floors, 4 apartments on each floor.
24.
Yeah, so you got 24 apartments in a building. That's your family. And whatever's your building attached to, that's your family. So when I say, I grew up among our neighbors, you know what I'm saying? You had drug dealers, you had dope fiends, you had molesters. All of that's going to be in your building, in the family. You know what I'm saying? So you had to grow up on, watching all of that. But like I said, we was a little bit more protected and guarded back then. So
did you get involved in street activities before him? Because he hit the scene as a rapper, at least initially with Jaz-O. He was pretty young. He was like 18. What was going on in the two? Had you guys already dabbled in the street, or had you, or what was?
No, I have been in. I've been hustling all my life, man. When I say, hustling, I ain't touched drugs until I was like 15, 16. But prior to that, I already had money. This is what I was already a hustler. I was already hustling newspapers and running numbers and doing stuff for the older guys, carrying drugs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was already doing that. You know what I'm saying? My step pop was a heavy figure in the area. So I already had seen what was going on. So about time it fell in my hands, I already knew what to do. You know what I'm saying?
And what about Jay? Was he more, what was his family's? I mean, he raps about stuff and shooting his brother. Like you don't have to tell his personal family business, but like how close to the reality is the way he talks about it in his songs?
To be honest, his personal family business is my business, because that's who he was with all his life, with my family. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he lived with my family for 15, 20 years. You get what I'm saying? Like
in the house, like
in my house. We moved from out of New York in the 80s, 89, 88, 89. And ever since then, we've been living together since 88, 89.
What age were you guys then?
We was at 88, 89, 17, 18.
And so where'd you guys move to?
I moved first, actually. You know what I'm saying? Things was getting pretty intense for me in New York, so my mom got worried and moved me to Jersey.
Meaning from selling.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Things got tense. And I had a better future with, you know, in basketball. So they was trying to gear me in that direction, and I landed in Trenton. You know what I'm saying? Trenton had a good high school basketball program with my coach recommended and my mom, you know, so they kind of shipped me out in Trenton. And
Trenton was kind of rough though, wasn't it?
but when, yeah, this is what I'm saying. But when I got in Trenton, I wouldn't say rough. I'll say Trenton enlightened me to where it was dudes getting money besides New York. You get what I'm saying? Like I saw
there was a lot of economic opportunity in the streets.
Like that when I got to Trenton and saw what was going on in that high school, like I never seen high school students pushing Porsches and Benzes and Audis to school. I never seen that.
Yeah, because New Jersey's interesting. It's a bunch of small cities next to each other, but it'll be like a rich city next to a poor city. It's not like when you're in Bed-Stuy, you're in the middle of like a vast ghetto. Like it's kind of a way. Well, back then at least, then, because I've been there. I've been to like Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights. Like you got to go a ways before it's like, you know. Easy money.
It got its sections, but they really small, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really small. But yeah, I ended up in Trenton, man, and Trenton turned me out, you know, without a lie. Trenton had turned me out. Like I said, I had never really seen that high school students, people my age with the money they had in Trenton, because everything was like the value was much higher in New York. You know what I'm saying? In Trenton. So they was getting massive money. So that kind of turned me out. And
what was Jay-Z rapping? Had he gotten with Jaz-O yet?
Nah, he hadn't gotten with Jaz-O yet. He hadn't gotten to Jaz-O until he completely moved down there with me back like 89. By the time 89 came in, you know, Jay was already like really tampering with the music hard. And then that's where Jaz-O came in the picture. You know, Jaz-O was talented. He was smart. He was the only dude that had a record deal that had a record deal at that time.
He was in some of your projects too, right?
Yeah. And, you know, he showed Jay the rap. He showed Jay a lot, man. He put Jay on to the business side, showed him.
And just for the record, Jaz-O was a law-abiding citizen. He wasn't a street guy.
Nah. He was law-abiding, always a stand-up guy.